I know the game will be made about quickly, and you can't look past 38, especially with no Brunson. But in regards to what Julius Randle has kind of turned himself into, this was a guy who was never thought to be a number one option kind of guy, at least not a number one on a really good team, right? So when you're looking past what Julius Randle's been able to do, in years past, he's kind of floated. He could get hot. He's been very streaky, but he's been way more consistent this year in terms of giving him the ball, making sure he gets his touches. You know, he can still be erratic defensively. I'm not about to sit here and say he's turned a complete 180 and now he's a complete player. He is still mostly an offensively dominated player, and he's a guy that maybe against top tier comp. And I know this Boston thing is one sample size, but against top tier comp, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get off consistently against those teams. As great as the Knicks have looked in this streak and just in the season overall, I'm not sure if I still trust that the Knicks can go up against the Bucks, and I would still say Boston, even though they got, two of these wins in the win streak against Boston. I still don't know if I could trust them in a 7-game series. A 7-game series is different. And in the regular season, you just want to show consistency, right? We can go up against top tier teams and be competitive and win. And the Knicks have shown that they can do that by and large. But when it comes to a 7-game series where you have to beat a team 4 out of 7 times, it's different. The stakes are raised. Because you could argue, I heard a lot of narratives last night into this morning of this Knicks team is better than the team that was a 4 seed a couple of seasons ago. I mean, sure. If you want to get that off, great. But this team is certainly more talented than a team 2 years ago. I'll give you that. They're certainly more talented. But are they necessarily better? I'm not sure. Because Jalen Brunson, as great as he is, and, everyone's like, oh, everyone's got to fall back on, people got to say that, got to apologize if you were chastising the signing. It wasn't about Jalen Brunson getting the bag from the Knicks. It was, if you're trying to legitimately win a championship, having either or Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle as your number one, that's not going to get it done against the upper crust in the East. It's just not. You might be able to go 6 games with the Bucks and feel good about yourself when you're done, but are you any closer to a Larry O.B.? And there's been a lot of speculation in regards to, well, now since the Knicks didn't have to jump out the window and give up all the picks for Donovan Mitchell, that now with Brunson and Randle, and if you want to throw quickly in there, even though that this is spot duty, if you want to continue to believe in what R.J. Barrett is, I'm gone on that. I'm good on that. Y'all can have R.J. Barrett, despite what he did last night. But if you can take what you're seeing with this Knicks roster as it stands right now, and then position forward, there's been a lot of speculation of, oh, well, the next superstar who's disgruntled, they're now going to want to be a Knick. And one of those names that was brought up and, had the CMD podcast earlier in the year. And if you're not familiar with the CMD podcast, check for that in the description. By the way, if you're pulling up and you're checking it out, go ahead and hit that like button. It lets the algorithm know that I'm actually doing good content over here. So just go ahead and hit that like button if you haven't already. Appreciate you. So when it comes right down to it, like, who's going to be that superstar to come to New York? I was being told about Anthony Davis. I was told about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Any available superstar. And look, all you got to do is cruise to the timeline, and you can see all types of, every superstar for the last 15 years has been photoshopped in a Knicks uniform. You could just go down and just pick any superstar and just put in Knicks and look for the Photoshop, and it's there, no matter who it is. I'm surprised. Maybe not Jokic. Jokic might be the only one I don't think I've ever seen him Photoshop in a Knicks uniform. If you have, send it. I need to see that. That would probably look hilarious with all the slices on his arms. And dude gets sliced up every game. He's cutting. He's bleeding all over the place. Good thing he don't have the. So once we get to this Knicks roster going forward, I don't think they're going to win a championship this year. I don't even think Knicks fans think they're going to win a championship this year. But what is success? You clearly have to advance past the first round, right? If you're talking about this team in any sort of seriousness, you have to get past the first round. And as they stand right now, they're playing Cleveland. Are you confident, if you're a Knicks fan, that this team, as constituted right now, can go up against Cleveland? And wouldn't that be, prophetic? You're playing against a guy that, was allegedly destined to be a Knick for all these years because of the fact that, he's riding with CAA, and the fact is, with the Knicks front office being a CAA hotbed, including the coaching staff, including players, it was a done deal that they're going to get Donovan. So if you're a Knicks fan, 4-5 matchup, you have to beat Cleveland, right? For this season to be a success. If you go 7 games and lose, you're still gone in the first round like you were 2 seasons ago. It's that type of incremental success really what we're going for here if you're a Knicks fan? Is that what you're aiming for? Because I don't think that's it. I think it has to be second round. As much as they're being hyped up right now, because you look at this bottom half, they're better than the Nets. Right now, they're better than the Heat. They're definitely better than the Hawks. Like, they're better than all these teams. Like, the East stops in terms of teams that can actually compete for a conference finals appearance. It stops at the Knicks. They're the last team. I don't have any faith in any of these teams after them as teams that can actually win more than one round. The Knicks can win more than one round, especially if they get Cleveland. If they can stand pat and hold on for dear life, because the Nets are not as trash as I thought they were going to be. I'm not here to shade Mikal Bridges. I just thought in terms of how they were going to play out the year, I thought it was going to be more about seeing guys on this roster who haven't been hooping. But no, they're still trying to win games. And I'm not mad at that. And this roster, with the vets that they have, and the young burgeoning stars that they were able to bring in Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson to pair them up with Cam Thomas. And, you still got vets in Joe Harris, Seth Curry. Like, they're still, and, Yuta Watanabe. I mean, they shut down Ben for a reason. I think there's a lot of guys here that are able to put forth, and Finney Smith can't sleep on him. Finney Smith is a hooper. So the Nets aren't as bad on paper. And you can't forget Dinwiddie, obviously. But you can't really sleep on the Nets just because there's too many vets who are bona fide hoopers. You can't sleep on them. So it's going to be interesting to see what does Knicks' success look like this season. What does it look like? Does it have to be second round? Or is it just be way more competitive than you were against the Hawks a few seasons ago? Let me know in the comments. I think it's a good thing for this franchise that's been dormant for so long to at least have a glimmer of hope. Now, it's the meniscus tearing taskmaster, so I'm not going to put too much stock into it. They're definitely never going to win a championship with him as the head coach. You can quote me right now. They will never, and I mean never, win a championship with the meniscus tearing taskmaster as their head coach. Okay, go ahead and clip that. Do whatever you got to do with it, but it's never going to happen. So the Knicks are a hot team. The Knicks are trying to rebuild the energy from a few seasons ago where they let the whole fan base, the whole city, the whole tri-state down with getting wiped out of here by Trae Young taking bows at the Mecca. So we will wait and see what we get there. But in regards to the Knicks, cool story, bro. I'll be right here to track it.